This is the syllabus about engineering as social experimentation. These are the questions I am going to explain you now. The first question, what is meant by engineering as experimentation, or what is the role played by experimentation in the design process? When a new product is produced, basic concept is converted into rough design. Then with known experimental techniques and materials, tests are carried out till finished product comes out. With the help of feedback, necessary modification in design is made. Since design process is tentative, that is trial and error, in nature, therefore many trial design experiments are carried out before the final test. Second question, what is the need to view engineering projects as experiments or similarities between engineering experiment and standard experiment? The need to view engineering projects as experiments are, engineering projects like the standard experiments are carried out in partial uncertainties. The final outcomes of engineering projects are also uncertain like those of other experiments, and similar to standard experiments, engineering experiments also require thorough knowledge about the product. So engineering, like any other experimentation, require constant monitoring, alertness and vigil on the part of the engineers at every stage of the project. Third question, what are the uncertainties that occur in model design? They are design calculations, properties of raw materials used, materials processing and fabrication, and nature of working of final product. Fourth question, what is learning from the past, or give any two examples in the field of engineering for learning from the past. Engineers have to learn not only from their own experience but also from other engineers and their experiments. Engineers cannot rely only on engineering handbooks. They demand updated, detailed information at every stage of a project's history. The reasons for the repetitions of past mistakes are lack of communication, prejudice in not asking for clarification, fear of litigation, negligence, etc. Examples for learning from the past. Tragedy of Titanic happened because of insufficient number of lifeboats. Similar disaster took place in the steamship the Arctic some years before because of the same problem. The second example is malfunction of pressure relief valve was the cause for 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor disaster. The similar incident happened in some other plant also. Fifth question, differentiate scientific experiments and engineering projects. The difference between scientific experiments and engineering projects are experimental control, informed consent, and conclusive remark are knowledge gained. The engineering experiments involve human beings as experimental subjects. In fact, clients and customers have more control as they own the authority of that power. So here the experimental subjects, say clients or end users, are out of the engineering experimenter's control, unlike standard experiments. Sixth question, what is informed consent or valid consent? Briefly explain the two elements of informed consent. Informed consent, it is consent, that is permission given with full knowledge and voluntarily by an individual who is physically and mentally competent. The two elements of valid or informed consent, they are knowledge, voluntariness. Knowledge, person should be informed that he is undergoing test. Give all information to take decision. Any information asked by the subject should be provided. Don't hide any information and aware all risks. And voluntariness, consent given voluntarily, not minor or mentally affected person, not by force, fraud or cheat. Seventh question, what are the characteristics of a valid consent? Or give any three characteristics of informed consent. Characteristics of valid consent. The consent should be given voluntarily, not by any force. The information should be presented in a clear and easily understandable manner. The consenter should be physically and mentally fit. Then he should be a major, that is above 18 years old, and should not be influenced by any other means. Eighth question, what are the codes of ethics and the advantages, that is importance or inspiration, and limitations of codes of ethics, and enumerate the roles of codes in ethics of profession. Codes of ethics or codes of conduct are guidelines for specific group of professionals given by various professional societies. to help them perform their roles, to know how to conduct themselves, and to know how to resolve various ethical issues. The advantages, that is importance or inspiration of codes of ethics. Codes of ethics emphasize rights, duties, obligations of the members of the profession. When people know the codes of ethics and follow it, this creates an atmosphere of trust, respect, and confidence in the actions of each person involved in the organization or group. The limitations of codes of ethics. Codes of ethics are broad guidelines restricted to general and vague wordings or phrases. Engineering codes often have internal conflicts which may result in moral dilemmas. The codes cannot serve as the final moral authority for professional conduct. The proliferation of contexts of codes of ethics for different branches of engineering gives a feeling that ethical codes are relative. The roles of codes in ethics of profession, they are inspiration, guidance, support for responsible conduct, deterrence and discipline, education and mutual understanding, contributing to the profession public image, protecting the status quo, and promoting business interest. Ninth question. What do you understood by a balanced outlook on law? A balanced outlook on law emphasizes the necessity of laws and regulations and their limitations in governing engineering practice. 10th question. What are the pros and cons of individual standards, and what are the merits and limitations of the standardized experimentation? Standards are framed by companies for their internal use and by professional associations and trade associations for industry-wide use. Sometimes standards are also prescribed as parts of laws and official regulations. Pros. Standards facilitate interchangeability, accuracy in measurement, ease of handling, prevention of harm, quality products, and decreased production costs. Drawbacks. Lack of uniqueness, strong local competitors, vulnerability to trade barriers. The merits of standardized experimentation. Standardized experimentation is practical. They are easy to administer. They consume less time to administer versus their assessment. Standardized testing results are quantifiable. And the limitations of standardized experimentation are: standards may include choice for customers because of reduced variety, excessive standardization of operation and procedure may reduce the initiative and interest of workers. Sometimes manufacturers, trade unions, exporters and importers impose unnecessarily changes in the provisions on standards for achieving their self-centered goals. 11th question. How does the law facilitates ethics in engineering? Law is a body of rules of actions prescribed by a controlling legal authority and having binding legal force. Law means all the rules established by authority or custom for regulating the behavior of members of community or country. Law dictates the minimum standard of behavior required of an individual by a given society and provide a self-interested motive for most of the people and companies. They also serve as a powerful support to those who want to act ethically in their activities. Example, law for rainwater harvesting. 12th question. Why we call engineer as a morally responsible person, or what are the general responsibilities of engineers to society? Engineers are primarily considered as technical enablers or facilitators rather than being the sole experimenters. Engineers' responsibility is shared with management, the public and others. The other unique responsibilities of engineers include monitoring projects, identifying risks, providing customer and clients the required information to make reasonable decisions. While exercising engineering duties, the engineers should display the virtue of being morally responsible person. 13th question. What are the general features of morally responsible engineers? Or what are the general responsibilities of engineers to society? They are conscientiousness, that is commitment to live by moral values, relevant information or comprehensive perspective. Engineers act as responsible agent requires imaginative forecasting, preventive technology, careful monitoring of projects and respect for people's rights. Then moral autonomy, it is the ability to think critically and independently about moral issues on the basis of moral concern. Then accountability, that is being responsible, obligated or answerable. Dear students, I hope you have understood all the important questions in the third